In this episode, we combine rust and raw power with 5 hot rods and rat rods that defy logic.
It's 0 to 60 under 3 seconds. Ferociously fast.
We've got metal molded into magic.
This is really, really individual. It's a sculpture. It's a piece of art. I put everything that I had into this truck.
Classics with character.
It's about as fast as any modern supercar. I mean, it is a rocket ship. The ultimate example hot rod truck.
And rides born with beauty.
You want to drive like a Porsche, but look like a styling street rodder, this is the car for you.
But there's one thing about rods, they're built for speed.
It's really insanely loud.
This awesome ride is definitely off the chain.
I put everything that I had into this truck. To me, it's everything. Like, this is my soul. And at the same time, it sucked my soul.
A self-taught passion project that ended up on a global stage.
This here is Chainsmoker. The name Chainsmoker came from burning rubber. It's just spitting smoke through those chains. So it's essentially chain smoking. It has a lot of the same aspects of what you'd see in a rat rod. It's rusty, it's raw, whereas there's a lot of time put into the artistic expression, into the sculpture end of it, and it has a lot of power, so it's still a hot rod. So we have created a category of art rod, and it fits perfectly into it.
Having watched this 40s Dodge Fargo sitting pretty for 5 years in a field, Warwick eventually snapped it up and had a rat rod in mind. With every panel surprisingly matching, Warwick got to work and smashed out 119 days straight, even sleeping on his couch to bring this baby to life. But a wicked ride is only as good as its engine, and Warwick, man, he resurrected a beauty.
What happened with the engine was it was built by a company in the States for somebody that was on his deathbed. And then just before they finished building it, he passed away. It'd essentially been through like 5 owners by the time it got to me, and it only had like 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers on it.
To build a Butte while honoring the dead, that's no small task. This ride must have pushed Warwick to the max.
This was my first real build. I've been building as a hobby for many years, but I'd never done something, you know, on such a grand scale. On the front end here, we're following a gold and chrome theme. So we've got French fogs down below, which are basically yellow lens fogs with chrome on the outside. Up above that, we've got the Fargo emblem. Then we've got the front bumper, which was built using tire chains. So we had a few holes that had to be filled. I ended up using some Canadian dimes. If you look real close here, we've got 2 1947 dimes, which is the year of the vehicle.
Now that's what I call putting your loose change to good use.
Essentially, you don't have any electronics on it. It's like 2 wires to it and you can let it run. Like it's really, really simple. It's actually been widened 6 inches here, so now instead of just a wheel this big, we can fit a wheel that's that big underneath here, which is what we need in order to actually put this power down, because this is just a rear-wheel drive truck. We've got a grain door in the tailgate, which was originally used for grain. We lift this door up. So instead of grain, I've now hidden a hitch in here.
Very cool.
So the trunk is a vintage trunk from Scotland. It's 120 years old. If you open it up in here, I've got a tray, which I made out of Canada Dry crate. And then underneath that, we've got all of our goodies. 2 air compressors, we've got a valve body, a air tank, and it is built into a false floor inside of the trunk here in order to get every single thing in there. And then we've got our two 60-liter fuel tanks here.
It's all in the detail, brother.
Coming into the interior here, we've got 3 different blades as our shifters. We've got a Gladius Damascus gear shifter, a Spanish Toledo drift brake, American-made Bowie knife as the e-brake. The seats are all made with real leather through the design of a 19 Bentley Continental. Don't feel like regular air conditioning? Here's old school air conditioning. This is really, really individual. It's a sculpture. It's a piece of art. This was a combination of a lot of effort and time from a lot of people. Everybody that had something to do with this truck, I'm thankful for.
From a chain-smoking custom to a deadly DIY ride. Imagine building a one-of-a-kind hot rod for the masses.
You're talking a car that's 0 to 60 under 3 seconds. Ferociously fast, right?
A ride that has just as much style as performance.
You want to drive like a Porsche, but look like a styling street rodder, this is the car for you.
A DIY kit car costing less than a minivan? Brother, I may have found the ultimate ride.
This one delivers on all marks. Yeah, it's the ultimate.
This is the Speedstar.
This is a Factory 5 Speedstar. This is a badass hot rod is what this is. This is 2,100 pounds and 450 horsepower of nastiness. This is a great hot rod.
It's kind of a hot rod on steroids.
The Speedstar is an absolute beaut of a ride, man, and that's just not the Count's opinion. This baby won the Riddler Award. With the original designer George Wong deciding to retire, hot rod fanatic David Smith took on the designs and brought the Speedstar to life. Priced at a modest $35,000 for this DIY kit, this ride is a perfect blend of good looks and great power, and all born out of pure passion.
Building your own car is sort of a uniquely American tradition. The process of deciding to build your own car starts kind of with the fantasy and drawing it on the kitchen table. The build process starts from the frame up.
Amen, brother.
So you're talking about a space frame chassis, first of all. Then you're talking about really kind of a computer-designed suspension. In this case, an independent rear suspension based on Ford's 2015 and later IRS. All the underpinnings of a sports car with the style of that Speedstar body.
You saw what's underneath the car in the showroom. Now on the outside of the car, it looks good, but it's got a super, super strong chassis underneath. 392 crate motor, right from Chrysler, 392 Dodge Hemi. So when your buddies say, does it have a Hemi? Yeah, it's got a Hemi. Massive back tires, jacked up rear end, slammed front end. It's low, it's sleek, it's got this chop top. There's still tons of headroom in it.
You're talking about 35, 45 grand all in. That's paintwork and everything. But I mean, that's the price for a high-end minivan, right? And you're getting something that'll just destroy anything on the street.
Who do I make the check out to?
We are in the golden age of performance engineering, and autos have never been faster and never been better, so we're able to take advantage of all that aftermarket performance and put it into our chassis and end up with a car that will run with a Lamborghini, but it costs a third of the price and you build it yourself. So the build, the experience, all that stuff's great, but when you turn the key and drop the hammer, that's when all the hard work pays off. Let's drive it, you'll see. It's a monster.
This baby may look beautiful, but blink and you'll miss it.
It's a cruiser. It's a muscle cruiser. So, I mean, you can just light up the rear tires at will. But it also has kind of this style and this edge to it that is really street rod, you know? It's like a magnet for people. You're always the #1 subject of conversation. Anywhere you go, you're a celebrity. So if you're on America's Most Wanted, you do not want to build this car. Everybody who's going to build a Speedstar is going to build their ultimate ride, their ultimate way. How you build yourself, you put your own ideas and you're so proud of it. It becomes the stories that you built along the way, the friends you made along the way. Years from now, maybe my time's over, but the car outlives me.
Long live the Speedstar. From a killer kit car to a heavy-duty Hulk. Imagine taking an American classic and turning it into a beast.
Taking it to the level that I did, how far I took it, it's just where I am with cars. I take everything that far.
Transformed in every way, This is a muscle car like no other.
I would call it a mad rod. It's not really a rat rod, not really a hot rod. It's kind of a cross in between. And for me, it's real love.
And it has a nickname fit for a superhero.
This is my 1959 Chevy El Camino. We call this car the Hulk Camino. When I cut the car up, what was left in the garage, I asked him if he could help me push it outside. And he goes, oh, you want to push the Hulk outside? And all of a sudden, bells went off, and it's like, well, it's green. It's going to have, you know, a big motor in it, so let's call it the Hulk Camino.
This superhero hot rod is a sensational build by mad scientist Chris Walker. With a passion project in mind, Chris splashed the cash to get this project on the road. And if you're gonna do it once, man, do it big. It took Chris 2 months to single-handedly get this baby into shape.
So my ride's made out of a 1959 Chevy El Camino. I heard rumor that a guy had a pretty nice one behind his garage. So we went out and looked at it, and it was really turned out to be a rust bucket. The floors were rotted out, most of the trim was gone. Got it home, and I probably started on it the next day. I couldn't wait. The first day I started working on it and just cut it up big time. So there wasn't a lot left. There was just the chassis, the cowl, and the doors. There's a lot of it that didn't get used and some that did get used that probably shouldn't have. But all the sheet metals, believe it or not, it's 1959 Chevy El Camino. Front fenders, hood, they've all just been modified to look the way they look.
Panels may be original, but that hood, that took some serious styling.
We've reshaped the hood, narrowed it up, totally reshaped the front fender. So it is 59 Chevy sheet metal that's on there. We just pie cut it and rolled it over the top of the tire so it would conform to that tire really nicely. We took that roof and moved it all the way back into the bed. Instead of an 8-foot bed, now we've got a 2-foot bed. That's how you get in now. You just step over the sides. The door handles, they're just for looks. We have a lot of fun with the kids. I'll make a bet with them. If they can open up the door, I'll give them a ride in the car, you know.
Good one, brother.
It's just good to have a nice, fun car and get to play with it.
Man, this car is wicked. Chris, show us your interior handiwork.
For the interior, it's really, really bare bones. Bomber seats, there's no real pad. There's 5-point harnesses in there just for safety. Kept the original 59 El Camino dash, just changed up the gauges. I guess the really unique thing would be is the placement of the shifter. The shifter's mounted up on the ceiling. Just because the cabin's so small, I need a little extra room.
A ceiling shifter. Man, I thought I'd seen it all. That is crazy. Let the Hulk out of the cage. Let this baby burn.
When people see the car, I get a multitude of reactions. One little kid was like, oh my God, look at wow. Super excited. It's so different than everybody else's car. We pull it up next to other 59 El Caminos, and even those guys are asking me what kind of car it is. For me, it's just that I built it in the garage. It was my vision. I didn't really have a lot of help doing it. And I mean, it's a love-hate relationship, and for me, it's real love. Taking it to the level that I did, it's just cars. I take everything that far. I mean, why not?
Our next ride is a badass truck that eats tires for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's about as fast as any modern supercar. I mean, it is a rocket ship. We knew it was going to be the ultimate example of our hot rod truck.
Built from the ground up, this baby has serious speed in mind.
Really taking this to the next level, it was by far the most extreme. So this is the 35 Ford pickup drift truck. The truck was designed to be able to be driven on the street. Right now it has the slicks on it for when he's on the track. This is all about performance. It can drift and it can drive on the street. It's really kind of a shock value truck.
This custom-built, street-legal hot rod truck will definitely wake up the neighbors. Powered by an $80,000 NASCAR engine, Jim Skank and his team have built a dangerous drifter. Smoking the tires through all 6 gears, the power in this baby is frightening. But its owner definitely ain't scared of the speed.
So we built this truck for Joey Logano. Joey had basically come to us and said, you know, I want a truck that does a little bit of everything, but let's take it to the extreme. There was a lot of challenges with the truck. You know, we had never done this kind of an engine before. This is out of our wheelhouse. And we pre-built the truck up at our factory, built the chassis, added all the other parts to make it do the things he wanted to do. And then we brought it down here with a painted body and basically did all the assembly down here. We all built it in a week right here in the shop.
Brother, this is one mean-looking build.
A NASCAR engine. It's a sequential Samsonus gearbox, so it's a 5-speed with a pull, trigger shift, solid axle rear suspension with a 3-link, wheelwood brakes front and rear with the drift brake built in. We went extra on the steering angle to make the car be able to drift.
Now, this is my kind of ride. You got power, drifting, and style. Oh, yes.
The hardest part we had to work around for us was really the engine. It's actually a Roush Yates racing engine, and it's not designed to be in a hot rod or a street car. You know, we're having to invent a lot of parts, we're having to fabricate a lot of stuff.
Although a lot's been done, it's all in the detail.
Front suspension, we did a lot of work to get the angle, the steering angle, so we can drift. Air conditioning was kind of a custom unit here. It's an electric air conditioning. You can see it's fairly Spartan, purposeful. It has a full race seat, it has a full cage, so knowing that it was going to be on track, we had to go with full safety equipment. There's a switch panel up on the roof that kind of controls all the AC in the windows and stuff, almost like a fighter jet. It does take a special touch to be able to drive the truck. There are some tricky aspects to driving the truck. The sequential transmission, I would say, is probably the #1, where it takes some getting used to. It responds very quickly. You have to be paying close attention. But to take it to the level that Joey does, I think you have to be pretty special of a driver.
That's a lot of talent for this terrifying truck.
So it's built to not go fast necessarily in a straight line, but around a course, hammering through the turns, drifting, shooting sideways. It's more almost like, you know, driving an amusement park ride than a regular car. He gets out of the truck and he's happy, and that makes the whole project worth it. This really was a very enjoyable project for us. Do something completely different from everything we had done before, and really a lot more extreme. You get this rush of a feeling of like, wow, we did it. It exceeded our expectations for sure.
Drifting in a pickup sounds like an ultimate ride to me. From a rubber-burning rod to a Model A that's A-OK. When rat rods are your life, it's only right you build something you love.
Nothing is really quite as fun as driving a Roadster, and I've really felt that I needed another one. We had all the right parts. I think we nailed it perfect.
In Josh's eyes, it ain't all about smiles.
This little Roadster is mean. It's an angry little beast.
A familiar sight to the locals, Josh is often seen with his heroic hot rod just parked up at the local store.
So this car is my daily driver. You can step right into it. There's no doors, there's no anything. You just kind of jump over the side and go. They have no power steering, there's no seat belts, there's no anything. It's just enough to travel down the street and do it safely-ish.
Taking its inspiration from a post-apocalyptic vibe, Josh put in the hours on paint and design to make sure this bad boy fulfilled his dream. A combination of 1930s Model A Ford with a late 1920s Pontiac producing some serious horsepower, man, that's nothing short of a labor of love. But what minerals is this baby made from?
So this Roadster sits on a Village Customs chassis and suspension. It rides amazing. The big giant valve covers, the headers are open headers that we made. We made all the steering linkage, everything really to do with this car. These are old junk tires that we had laying around. We burn the tires a lot, and we burn a lot of rubber off, so we just keep putting new sets on.
If rubber's burning, heads are turning.
We did these little road grader spikes here and some strappings to kind of make a trunk lid. The interior is all industrial tack welds and things like that, and just kind of make things look awesome. Basically, everything's all metal. There's not a whole lot in there. There's nothing in there but metal. It's just how I've always built things, and it's what appeals to me. We have a key, a shifter, and a steering wheel. There's nothing else on the dash, nothing else anywhere. That's it, there's nothing else.
Simple, powerful, and loud, the sweet rumble of a rat rod.
This roadster is an absolute blast to drive. It's fast, it's low, it's really insanely loud. It handles amazing. It's a perfect car.
It does sit on the ground, and it is, you know, appealing to people to see it, you know, flat on the ground. And it's capable, it's drivable, it's super drivable at any kind of speed with one hand on the wheel. It's an awesome feeling just to go down and know that you've hand-built a vehicle and it's traveling down the highway at normal highway speed.
The pure passion and rusty reward of building an ultimate ride. 5 ridiculous rods. No doubt about it, man. From polished perfection to a deadly drifter. And even if they look rusty, don't ever doubt what's under the hood. We'll see you next time on Ultimate Rides.